retired Chief of Defense Forces, service commanders, honorable members of both houses of parliament, members of the diplomatic corps, general officers, serving and retired, officers, service members, our families, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Your Excellency, as the Principal Staff Officer in charge of Human Resources for the KDF, it is with deep sorrow and regret that we are gathered here today to fete and honor our CDF. I do not have much to speak about. For me, it's just to announce that immediately after I announce the order of speeches, I shall invite Mr. Joel Rabuku Omondi Ogolla, the son of General Ogolla, who will speak on behalf of the family. Sir, when Mr. Joel Rabuku is done with his speech representing the family, I shall invite our Assistant Chief of the Defense Forces in charge of personnel and logistics, Major General David Keter, who shall read a biography of General Ogolla. He shall thereafter invite the Vice Chief of Defense Forces, Lieutenant General Charles Kahariri, to make his remarks, who shall thereafter invite the Honorable Aden Duale, our Cabinet Secretary. Thereafter, it will be our CS's distinguished honor and pleasure, sir, to invite you. I now take this solemn opportunity to invite Mr. Joel Omondi Rabuku Ogolla.
KDF Ahua. KDF Ahua. KDF Ahua. Your Excellency, yesterday I gave you a slight brief on what Mzee would have wanted, and today when we're picking him up from the morgue, I'm glad your direction for merging the military and our wishes have been respected. Mzee lying over here, the casket he's lying in is a very simple mbao ambayo haijapigwa randa. It's very rough. I've just been told it actually costed 6,800 shillings. Hii mambo mingi ya casket ati mtu mkubwa 500,000, 1 million. His essence and spirit is no longer with us. This is a body which he served the country with, and now it is finished. In addition to that, let me just briefly address the rumors I've been seeing on social media asking, is this guy, was he Muslim? The rights he wants to be buried with, what's happening? Your Excellency, as you know, Jesus himself, how he was buried, he was wrapped in a sheet and put in a tomb. Right now, Mzee is wearing the uniform he donned for #1 functions, but tomorrow we'll be wrapping him in the sheet. We'll extract him from the casket and lay him in the ground so that he can return to us dust as quickly as possible, just the way he wanted it, and just following the man he admired the most, Jesus Christ. Your Excellency, my father always alikuwa na mambo matatu kama wewe, not the same, but all his speeches were divided into 3. Today I divided it into 4 because he was a foster general. Firstly, you heard from Bishop Lele about his love for God. Somewhere in that helicopter wreck is his Bible, which was his most precious possession. Anyone who worked with him in DHQ, MAB, lab, wherever, can attest that he always had a Bible with him. And I am hoping they're able to retrieve it from the accident. I'd want to keep it as a memento, and for the rest of the family as well. His Bible meant a lot to him, and between me and him, the rest of the family, my mom and my wife, were a bit slow, but we'd always engage in a competition for reading the Bible and discuss the mortality and all these things of life. He understood that his position was temporary and it would always end. Leading up to his death, he almost knew that his time was up, despite having very many plans for the military and for his family. But he spoke in a certain tone that would suggest that, my son, I won't always be here, and you will need to take care of my wife and my other children, which I am more than ready to do, and it will not be a problem. And Matthew 5:3, Beatitudes of Jesus, it says that blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. He was the poorest man in spirit. Hizi chase cars mingi, ofisi kubwa, watu kumuita CDF, general, sir. To him it was all vanity. It was a necessary thing for him to be able to fulfill his job, nothing more. As he lays here with his uniform, I see they put his medals, his sword and boots. He loved it as a tool for the job, but nothing more. Don't be under any illusion that he thinks is important once he breathed his last. That was point number one, his love for God. His point number two and point number three is a very blurry line. It is about his soldiers and his family. I can guarantee you right now, ule private mwenye amekaa pale juu kwa kona and me, he viewed us almost the same. You may not have had the same privileges I might have had being his son, but in his heart of hearts, the lowest person, the cleaner, to his vice, he treated all of them with respect. And he respected every single human life. His worst days was when he had, or rather different days he hears his soldiers have been hit. He was actually mourning like he was mourning a child. And he'd go down to his knees and ask, God, what is happening here? Hard for me strength. Nahitaji kulima hii Al-Shabaab kabisa. Nahitaji kulima hii bandits kabisa. Which is what he was doing in the line of duty when he went down. And I want to tell even the bandits or Al-Shabaab who are celebrating, mtu mwenye alikuwa na lima kila wakati, muongeze click. Watu ya SF, mukipewa mission ya kwenda kulima adui, maliza kabisa. Na ukifanya skirmishi, confirm. Waongeze 3 za kichwa. That's how he would have wanted it. He wanted to die, in fact, fighting one of these enemies. And so, musikubali kuogopa Al-Shabaab. Kama mdosi wenyu hakuwa anaogopa adui, basi mnaogopa nini? Si yeye amelala hapa, na sisi wote tutalala hapa. Usipende maisha yako yote sana, na iko kitu moja kubwa kushinda wewe, Mwenyezi Mungu na nchi yetu ya Kenya. Lima au Al-Shabaab, lima, musiangushe click. Muongeze. Watu ya Boni, endeleni kuongeza click kabisa. Because his ultimate dream was to have a fully peaceful Kenya. Hii mambo ya watu kugongo hitting civilians left, right and center, he had told me many times, General Karangi started that or that side, I will finish it. He may not be the one to finish it, but all of you now have a responsibility. Musiangushe hiyo click, wekeni juu. And he always used to say, kazana, weka kazi mbele na Mungu mbele. Na ulime adui kabisa. Lima adui, atakufanyia nini? Utakuja hapa, we'll celebrate you, but Kenyans will remain safe. Those tears of the women in Baringo and their children and the people who are displaced, they won't go in vain. Hata sasa wenye wako deployed huko, wenye walichukua mili zao kwa ndege, don't despair, kazi inaendelea. He's gone, amri bado iko. Since ametoa amri, hiyo mahali lazima ifagiliwe kabisa, na hivyo ndio itakuwa. That was point number 2 and 3. I'll talk about his family briefly. He really loved his wife, and he loved us also as a family, and he did everything for us. Anything he was ready to sacrifice for us. He believed in us completely. And his wife, I know, he kept on telling me, unajua nikienda sasa wewe ndio utachunga mama. And mom, I will take that job seriously na nitakuchunga to the best of my ability. Lastly, if you knew General, he loved reading. He loved playing golf. I know his golf buddies really miss him. And he said in an interview when Excellency appointed him, was the last time he played. And just when we were talking on Saturday, I told him, sasa ukiretire itakuwa aje? And he told me, I look forward to going back to golf. But his primary consideration always was this great nation of Kenya. He loved it, and in his death, he wishes that Kenya will remain totally secure, free from external influence, and any Kenyan, be it from Baringo, Chemolingot, Lamu, Mandera, Wajir, any corner of this country, he wanted them to be safe. A child to go to school, get an education, pursue their dreams, and he died doing that. And there is no greater death for him. He loved, besides his golf reading, I believe we as a family genuinely believe General had more than 24 hours in a day. Because in a day, Tuesdays and Fridays, in fact, we are normally here. This Tuesday, we were here doing the Defense Forces physical readiness test. He said, if I'm the general, I have to show that this test is possible. And ironically, he did, I think, the most press-ups of everyone here. Not the most press-ups, but the most push-ups. We did push-ups. He did 80 of them at his age, over 60. He did press-ups, I think about 50, and he ran 3.2 kilometers in about 19 minutes, which is absolutely phenomenal for his age. So pia nyinyi muko kwa juu, watu ya vitambi, fuateni mwenende ya general. So unaona metosha kwa sanduku vizuri, hawaja finya toshe vizuri. And so, lastly as I finish, the most important lesson, should you disregard his love for God and what God can do to you in your life and the battles he can help you win, should you disregard everything? I can tell you something. Ukiwa na mkono gamu, hautaipata baraka. Even when God wants to give you money and resources, you need to open your hands. You need to empty your pockets. Patiana. General livyosia umulize, yo sa umevapo, nipatie, anakupatia. General limekwama hapa, nisaidie. He will give you. He was so generous, and as a result of that, as a family, we have never lacked. I am to just try. Test your faith. Test your faith. Start. Mwenye nakumbanga pesa, hata umechoka naye aje. Give him, forget about it. Najua hapa, he told me the amount of debt ordered to him, and I enjoyed him. If you ever die, kwa mazishi yako nitaenda nianze kuchukua hizo madeni yangu, ndio at least nijenge mambo nyumba mahali. But akasema hapana, hiyo ni sadaka nimepatia Mungu. And so generosity, just test your faith. Hiyo wacheni kushikilia vitu kwa mfuko. Fungua mkono, God will bless you. We will miss him. He was a great simple man, and we love him. And to the entire KDF fraternity, poleni sana, we stand with you. And especially for the people who perished with him. We in fact were running with that whole group here on Tuesday. And Tuesdays and Friday were his days. If I can ask, kwa makambi zenyu, unakimbia so that at least you can take the physique and also better your own health. Asante sana, and God bless all of you.
Thank you very much, Joel, for such a rich tribute to your dad, General Francis Omondi Ogolla. Your Excellency, it is now my singular honor and pleasure duty to invite the ACDF P&L to read the biography and thereafter invite the VCDF. ACDF, sir.
Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Kenya and Commander-in-Chief of the Defense Forces, sir. Permit me to ride on established protocols. I have the honor and singular duty to read the biography of the late General Francis Omondi Ogolla. My name is Major General David Ketere, the Assistant Chief of Defense Forces in charge of personnel and logistics. The late General Ogolla was my mentor, and I was directly answerable to him on personnel and logistic matters. General Francis Omondi Ogolla was born on 12th February 1962 in Siaya County. He was enlisted into the Kenya Defense Forces as an officer cadet on 2nd May 1984 and commissioned as a second lieutenant on that May 1985, upon which he was posted to Moi Air Base, where he trained as a pilot. During his career in the Kenya Defense Forces, General Ogolla held several command, staff, and instructional appointments. In command, he was appointed the commanding officer Laikipia Air Base, Tactical Flight Wing in 2007, and also the base commander Laikipia Air Base from the year 2008 to 2014. Upon promotion to brigadier on 10th April 2012, he was appointed the Deputy Air Force Commander and later on promoted to a Major General on 13 July 2018 and appointed the Commander, Kenya Air Force. On 23rd July 2021, he was also promoted to the rank of a lieutenant and appointed the Vice Chief of Defense Forces, a position he held till 28 April 2023 when he was promoted to the rank of a general and appointed the Chief of Defense Forces. From my interaction with the late General Ogolla, I can attest that he had the welfare of the Kenya Defense Forces at heart. He ensured that he frequently visited troops in both deep and close operation areas and promptly addressed challenges in the field. He encouraged members of Kenya Defense Forces to keep fit, and this he led by example, by ensuring he attended bi-weekly sporting activities at this complex facility. His last group physical activity was the annual Defense Forces Physical Readiness Test, which was conducted this week on Tuesday, 16 April 2024 on this very ground. Being the Chief of Defense Forces, he did not have to attend the exercise due to his extremely busy schedule, but he chose to lead from the front by participating in the exercise, just like the rest of KDF personnel, in sync with his command philosophy, one force, one mission. Due to his dedication to service, the late General Francis Omondi Ogolla was awarded several medals, among them Elder of the Order of the Golden Heart, Elder of the Panning Spear, Head of State Commendation, among others. The cruel hand of death has robbed his family of a loved one. Kenya Defense Forces, the country has lost a patriotic and hard-working general officer. He will be missed by his family, relatives, colleagues, friends, and nation at large. I wish to express my deep condolences to his wife, Madam Eileen Kadambi Ogolla, his children, Lona Acheng Omondi and Joel Rabuku Omondi Ogolla, his daughter-in-law, Mudhoni Njenga Mwaura, his grandson, Master Tajim Bagara, his friends, family, relatives, and colleagues. May the Almighty God rest his soul in eternal peace and grant abundant comfort to members of his family. Your Excellency, sir, it is my humble duty and honor to kindly invite the Vice Chief of Defense Forces to give his remarks. VCDF, sir.
Madam Eileen Ogolla and the family of the late General, our CDF, Francis Omondi Ogolla, Your Excellency the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Kenya Defense Forces, Dr. William Samoei Ruto, High Excellency First Lady Mama Rachel Ruto, Your Excellency Deputy President, Honorable Rigathi Gachagua, and Mama Dorcas Gachagua, Your Excellency the Prime Cabinet Secretary, Musalia Mudavadi, Speakers of the National Assembly and Senate, the Chief Justice and President of the Supreme Court, Honorable Right Honorable former Prime Minister Raila Odinga, Cabinet Secretaries and Principal Secretaries present, and all senior government officials invited, Governor of Nairobi County, service commanders, honorable members of the House Committee on Defense, Intelligence and Foreign Relations, members of the Diplomatic Corps, the KDF fraternity, our families, distinguished ladies, distinguished gents, ladies and gentlemen. It is with great sorrow and great sense of loss that we have gathered at this stadium, which was very dear to our departed CDF. I take this opportunity, Your Excellency, on behalf of the Kenya Defense Forces fraternity, both those that are here and those that are in our peacetime locations, and our troops that are deployed all around the country and beyond, to convey a deep message of condolence to the family of our departed leader. Your Excellency, I also take this opportunity to convey those condolences as well to yourself, members of the National Security Council, and all the leadership in the security sector for this loss. Let me thank you, Your Excellency, and through you the entire nation for standing with us, the KDF family, during this moment of great loss. Not only did we lose our CDF, but we lost 9 others, general officers, and service members in the tragic air accident that happened. Your Excellency, we have also received support messages of comfort and condolences from far and beyond. General Ogolla, and I do not need to really go over again describing what kind of a person he was, because the family has said that, as well as the principal chaplain, and we all knew him. But he had many friends within the security establishments, both in the region and through his engagements externally. We've received messages, and I'll just mention a few. The Chief of Defense Staff of India, his friend, the Chief of Defense Staff of Sri Lanka, whom he had invited here recently, and we learnt, or rather shared, a lot of ideas in terms of the kind of engagements that we are engaging in dealing with the threats that confront our republic. There's also the General Mbadi, UPDF, who is the immediate former CDF, who worked very closely. The CDF of Burundi, who will be with us tomorrow, and many others. But presently here, sir, we have General Gatechu Selbina, the DMI of Ethiopia, representing Field Marshal Birhan Jula of Ethiopia, who, if you recall, sir, he was here also recently as a guest of our departed CDF. We also have the Commander of Land Forces of the Republic of Rwanda, Defense Forces, representing the Rwanda CDF. Your Excellency, also allow me to acknowledge with us retired CDFs of Kenya. We have retired General Kibochi, retired General Karangi, and retired CGS General Jeremiah Kianga, and many other retired both officers, general officers, and service members who are all here to show solidarity and to send off our general. Your Excellency, today you have noticed that we are all conducting this ceremony dressed in combat uniform. This is in honor of our general who died in the operation area conducting operational duties in the North Rift. And sir, like I mentioned to you earlier, last week we spent a lot of time meeting with the field commanders, service commanders and all, discussing ways and means and planning how to continue advancing our operations and making the country secure. After he was briefed on the situation in the North Rift, he tasked General Keter to look for resources to complete the task that you had given him, and told us that, actually he told me, wewe baki kwa ofisi, angalia mambo ya ofisi, next week, kuanzia next week, mimi nitakuwa kwa field. And his intention was to visit North Rift. After that, our troops in close operations, theaters, and within Somalia, just to reinvigorate and to continue giving the spirit of warriorship to our soldiers. We accept the will of God. Your Excellency, my duty is to assure you that the Kenya Defense Forces remains strong despite the loss. We are continuing with our duties of securing our country just like the general would have wanted us. And his passing will only give us the impetus to do more. Sir, you have seen a son of a general. That spirit reflects the general and it transcends to all of us. I will not go into detail again, like I said, but I will just finish by saying that the general was a very visionary leader. He leaves behind with us his visionary, his vision and the documents that we have developed to make KDF better. He was a very decisive commander and leader. He was very fair, firm but very fair when he dealt with situations. He would be considerate of actions before he took them. So, sir, and this, as we have heard, is grounded on his strong professional grounding, his spiritualism, his intellectual abilities, and family background. These, Your Excellency, are what defines our departed general. So, sir, we felt that this was a good event for the entire KDF and for those that will not be able to continue and with us in the journey to give him his final respects, to come here and send off our general in a very in this ceremony of military honors. Thank you, Excellency. And with those said, let me invite our Cabinet Secretary, who worked closely with General Ogolla as our leader, to give his remarks and continue with the program. Thank you, sir.
Mama Eileen, Ogolla and family, Your Excellency the President of the Republic of Kenya and the Commander-in-Chief of the Defense Forces, Excellency the First Lady, Your Excellency the Deputy President, and Mama Dorcas Gachagua, Your Excellency the Prime Cabinet Secretary, the Right Honorable Prime Minister, the Speaker of the Senate, the Honorable Chief Justice, and the President of the Supreme Court, colleagues, Cabinet Secretaries present, the Vice Chief of the Defense Forces, service commanders, the host governor of Nairobi and all governors present, principal secretaries present, general officers, members of the diplomatic corps, senior security officers present, led by the Inspector General of Police and the Director General of National Intelligence Service, service members of KDF, ladies and gentlemen. Today we gather with heavy hearts to bid farewell to a true hero, General Francis Ogolla. He was my elder, my friend, our CDF, a member of the Defense Council, a man whose life exemplified courage, dedication, and unwavering commitment to this country, Kenya. As we mourn his passing on, we also celebrate his remarkable legacy, a legacy attached in the annals of our nation's history. General Ogolla's journey of service began over 4 decades ago when he joined the military as a cadet officer in 1984. Through his hard work, determination, and exceptional leadership skills, he rose through the ranks, earning the respect and admiration of his colleagues and superiors alike, his tenure as the Chief of the Defense Forces, who I have worked with him very closely, was marked by a steadfast devotion to duty and deep sense of responsibility towards safeguarding the sovereignty and territorial integrity of our nation. He ensured that he had the presence of mind to lead the forces by example. Your Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, what you may have not known about General Ogolla is that he led officers, service members, and civilians in our ministry right on these tracks in front of us for a morning run every Tuesday and Friday, doing 10 laps, his latest being the past Tuesday. Your Excellency, sir, the Kenya Defense Forces reached new heights of professionalism and excellence, earning accolades both at home and abroad. Tragically, General Ogolla's life was short while he was on official duty, serving his country until his last breath. His untimely demise in a helicopter crash on the 18th of April 2024 has left a void in our hearts and a profound sense of loss of our nation. Your Excellency, the leadership and the rank and the file of Kenya Defense Forces across the country and outside the country, we want to assure you and commit that we will make our country safe and secure as General Ogolla wished when he was our CDF. As we bid farewell to General Francis Ogolla, let's honor his memory by upholding the values he held very dear: loyalty, honor, and service to our country. And to the Kenya Defense Forces, let us uphold the unity and the camaraderie he championed through his motto, one force, one mission. Though he may be gone, his spirit lives in the hearts of all of us who knew him. His legacy will endure as a beacon of hope for our nation. Rest in peace, General Ogolla. Your service will never be forgotten, and your sacrifice will always be remembered. Your Excellency, finally, we receive so many condolences on behalf of General Ogolla from friends, partners, and allies of Kenya Defense Forces and of our country under your leadership as our Commander-in-Chief. I want to just mention a few. The Secretary of Defense of the United States, my colleague and a friend, the Minister for Defense of Turkey, the Minister of Defense of Tanzania, the Minister of Defense of Ethiopia, the Minister of Defense of Somalia, and Rwanda, and Burundi, and India, among many, many other colleagues, who said more good things about General Ogolla, who interacted, who saw him, and who loved him as a leader of one of the biggest and most professional defense forces in our region and in Africa. As we say in Islam, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. From God we originate, and to God we shall return. Thank you, and may God bless you. Your Excellency, with your permission and under the guidance you have given us this morning, it's my humble duty and privilege to invite our elder, our leader, the former Prime Minister, His Excellency Raila Amolo Odinga, to make his remarks.
Thank you, Your Excellency William Samoei Ruto, the President and also Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Republic of Kenya. Mama Eileen Katambi, Lona and Joel Omondi Ogolla. All protocols observed, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. We have come on a very tragic occasion to say farewell to one of the most illustrious sons of this country. We are paying farewell to a four-star general who has died not in the field of combat, but through a tragic air crash accident. General Ogolla, as has already been said by those who have spoken before, exemplified what you can call a true nationalist. By his own conduct, he showed that he loved his country and he was prepared to serve and die on behalf of his country. We take comfort in listening to his son talk about him. And when I saw Joel talk there, I said, this is a case of the general is dead. Long live the general. He has shown how simple his father was. And I know him because he's a personal friend. I know him as a man of very few words, an accomplished golfer, but a man also who knows his responsibilities to the society. He has served, he has mentored, he has taught very many of the young Kenyans. He believed truly in the Kenyan dream, which is coined in our national anthem. God bless this land of ours. Justice be our shield and defender. May we dwell in unity, peace and liberty. Plenty be found within our borders. Justice can only be a shield and defender if there is democracy. Then may we live in unity and love each other. No discrimination on the basis of gender, ethnicity, race, or religion. Unite all the Kenyan people, all the 46 tribes of Kenya. Give them equal opportunity in terms of education, in terms of employment. Don't discriminate against your fellow Kenyan because he does not come from your tribe. And that is what Ogolla believed in. And that is what he showed. And that is how he even worked wherever he worked. It is, Your Excellency, tragic that we are studying today. But he has also shown, just as in life, in death he also said he wants a simple burial and be buried as quickly as possible. This is in line with the traditions of our own African people. Commercializing burials today is not African, it's un-African. People used to be buried either the same day or the following day when they died. Burial funeral was not an enterprise as what it has come today. So he said he wants to be buried the way it is, without a coffin, soil back to the soil. A great Kenyan patriot. So, Your Excellency, I want to conclude by saying that because of the manner in which Ogolla died, a lot of rumors are flying around all over. We want these rumors to be put to rest. And this can only happen if there's a thorough investigation to tell us the cause of the death, how that plane came down. But also, Your Excellency, this is also time to take a relook at our equipment and our military. Because you have seen a number of these accidents over the last 5 to 10 years. There's been so many of these crashes. We want to put this to an end so that we can save lives of our people. Finally, as we lay Ogolla tomorrow to rest, I want us to remove the stigma, Your Excellency. Because I knew this man very well. General Ogolla would never have contemplated or thought about going to Bomas of Kenya to force Mr. Chebukati to alter the results of last general elections. So if we want this to be removed, as we lay him to rest. Rest in peace, our brother and my uncle, General Ogolla. Thank you.
Your Excellency, again, under your guidance and permission, allow me to invite the Prime Cabinet Secretary, Honorable Musalia Mudavadi, to make his remarks, invite the Deputy President, and the Deputy President invite you as the President and the Commander-in-Chief of Kenya Defense Forces.
Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Kenya, Dr. William Samoei Ruto, the First Lady, Mama Rachel Ruto, Deputy President, Honorable Rigathi Gachagua and Mama Dorcas, Mama Elaine, Ogolla, and your entire family, my colleagues, and all dignitaries and friends and Kenyans here in this beautiful grounds and also watching from various quarters through the media. Your Excellency, mine will be very brief. First, with your permission, let me acknowledge the presence of several heads of missions who have joined us here today to bid farewell to General Ogolla. I have a list, I'll just mention their names, and I'll request that as I mention your name, you can be upstanding. First, we have the Embassy of the Republic of Azerbaijan, His Excellency Sultan Agama, the Embassy of the Republic of Portugal, Her Excellency Ana Filomena Rocha, Embassy of the Czech Republic, Mrs. Nicole Adamkova, Embassy of the Delegation of the European Union, Mrs. Henrietta Geiger, Embassy of Italy, Dr. Roberto, Embassy of the Sahrawi Arab Republic, Mr. Ali Amin Mohammed, Embassy of the People's Democratic Republic of Algeria, His Excellency Muhi Boumediene, Embassy of the State of Eritrea, Mr. Rain Rassom, High Commissioner of India, Madam Namgia, Embassy of Ukraine, Andrei Pravedink, Embassy of the United Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, Mr. Khalid Abdullahi Ali Salman, High Commissioner of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Mande Aliyu, Embassy of the Republic of Sudan, Abdul Rahman Mahmoud, Embassy of the Democratic Republic of Congo, Mr. David Chibanga Tishiku, Embassy of the Sultanate of Oman, Said Al-Amri, Embassy of the Republic of Iraq, Dr. Mohammed Hussein Hassan, we also have the Ambassador and High Commissioner of Ghana, His Excellency Damti Asare. We have the Ambassador and High Commissioner of Rwanda, His Excellency Gonga. We have Salim Al-Nakabi, United Arab Emirates Ambassador. This may not be exhaustive because we also have missions represented here, but not at the level of head of mission. And I also wish to acknowledge their presence. Your Excellency, mine will be very brief, just to stand with you and to stand with the family in condoling with all Kenyans and the military following this very tragic loss of the general and his compatriots a few days ago. Your Excellency, it has been said several times, but it pains not to repeat this. If there was a description of humility, an epitome of humility, then the general who has fallen is indeed a symbol of humility. But what is more interesting is that it is humility found in the military. Humility is a very rare visitor in the military circles, let alone being a resident in the military itself. So we have lost somebody who has now shed some light as to what can really be done to epitomize humility. Finally, Your Excellency, General Ogolla was a deep and brilliant thinker, not an emotional one. He was not impulsive. He gave very good thought to what he would say and what he intended to do. He was truly a deserving and befitting leader of the military. With these remarks, may his soul rest in eternal peace, and God grant his family courage and grace during this period and beyond. It is now my honor to invite the Deputy President, Honorable Rigathi Gachagua, to make his remarks and thereafter invite you. Thank you.
The Commander-in-Chief of Kenya's Defense Forces, Your Excellency President William Ruto, Your Excellency our First Lady, Mama Rachel Ruto, the Prime Cabinet Secretary, the former Prime Minister, the Speaker of the Senate, the Chief Justice, and the President of the Supreme Court, the Vice CDF, the service commanders, all officers present, all men and women in uniform, Mrs. Ogolla, and your children and the family. We come here accompanying the President, first and foremost to condole with the family of General Ogolla. Again, we come here to condole with the KDF fraternity for the loss of their general, a celebrated and decorated soldier who has passed on in the course of duty. Your Excellency, as we condole the family and the KDF family, let me also, on behalf of the executive, take this moment to condole with you as the Commander-in-Chief of Kenya's Defense Forces for the loss of your CDF, whom you considered as a loyal and brilliant military strategist. Your Excellency, for the time we worked with General Ogolla, he was a very committed officer of the military. Besides that, the man was humble, pleasant, and amiable. He was also a very kind man. And when we talk to many officers who have served under him, they would give testimony of his humility and his kindness. Your Excellency, I was a beneficiary of his kindness. I remember late February this year, when I was in my office, I was informed that the Chief of Defense Forces, General Ogolla, is at the door waiting to see me. And I couldn't understand because I was not expecting him. He had not said he is coming. And in ordinary circumstances, if you hear the Chief of Defense Forces has come without notice, you sort of panic. And I stopped the meeting. I said, let the General come in. And I said, General, what brings you here? The General was holding a big card. And he said he had come to wish me happy birthday. And I was not even aware it was my birthday. That was General Ogolla. Your Excellency, it is good for us to give the other side of the General that we saw and interacted with. General Ogolla, despite being a very tough General and Commander, who is celebrated for his various accomplishments, was also a very humorous man. He was full of very good jokes, and many a time in tense situations, he would make everybody feel comfortable. Many a time as we waited at the airport, Your Excellency, to welcome you or to see you off to foreign countries, the General would keep us busy with many good stories and keep us entertained. And I do remember one such day when you left, and we were left there, and we were in a hurry to leave as you took off. And he told me, Mr. Deputy President, it is good for me to inform you that when you are in a military facility and the Commander-in-Chief is away, I am the senior most military officer here, and all of you take orders from me, and you only leave when I tell you so. And after we stayed for a while, he said, you may now take off. I give you fallout. And that was a tradition for the days we stayed with General Ogolla. We were there with Professor Kindiki, the leader of majority, and all these politicians who are not very accustomed to orders. But the General would organize us, and only when he felt that your plane has taken off safely into the skies, he would say, Deputy President and the rest of you, you may now fall out. That was General Ogolla for you. Your Excellency, I will condole with you because I know, as your assistant, the high regard you had for General Ogolla. That regard was so high that when this news came through, I was with you at Sagara State Lodge. We had performances during the Drama and Film Festival, the Winners Concert, and one of your assistants brought you a phone and said there was an urgent call from the Defense Minister, and you went to take the call that took very long. And when you called me, you said, we have very bad news. And you kept silent for a long time. And I asked you, Mr. President, is there anything wrong? You said, yes, we have just lost our CDF, General Ogolla, in an aircraft crash. and this is terrible. And I have stayed with you for many years, and I can testify to the people of Kenya that if there's one happening that really brought our president down emotionally, was the death of General Ogolla. And Your Excellency, yesterday, as we visited the home of General Ogolla, I was very elated because of a decision you made last year. When we had a working tour in Nyanza, you told us that General Ogolla is a very likable person. He has brought value to your government, and you felt that we needed to know his home and go and visit his family. And we did go to Siaya, and Mrs. Ogolla treated us to a sumptuous meal for dinner. We had great conversation with the family, with the Joel and the mother and the general. And yesterday, as we went to the home, we did not meet strangers. We found people that we had met. Mrs. Ogolla, the son Joel, and as we go to bury him tomorrow in Siaya, we are also not going to a home that we did not know. We are going to a home that we have been to. And it just ignited my imagination that probably, Your Excellency, it may be time that we create time the way you did that day, as we work to get time to know the families of those who work under us when they are still serving. I think it's about time. With those very many remarks, I ask the KDA family to listen to the son of the general. Let the death of General Ogolla, who died while serving, strengthen your resolve to protect our borders, to keep peace in our country. Though we appreciate the general died in duty, it would have been acceptable if he was pursuing the enemies of this country from other countries. But it is tragic that he died while trying to settle challenges caused by our very people here in Kenya. And I think his death should strengthen the resolve of our forces and our security agencies to wipe out the banditry menace in this country once and for all. That would be a great honor to this hero. With those many remarks, let me request you to be upstanding as I invite the President and Commander-in-Chief to come and honor his general and speak to the nation. Your Excellency.
Thank you very much. Please, let's take our seats. Mama Eileen Ogolla and your family, our religious leaders, colleagues, leaders present, VCDF and the military fraternity, ladies and gentlemen. On Thursday, April 18, 2024, General Francis Ogolla, the Chief of the Defense Forces, along with 11 others, including the crew, departed Nairobi County to visit troops operating under Operation Maliza Uhalifu and to inspect ongoing rehabilitation of schools program in the North Rift. By midday, the CDF and his entourage had traversed Baringo County, Turkana County, Elgeyo Marakwet County, destined for Uasin Gishu County, where he was to visit the recruit training school, where I had agreed with him on certain benchmarks that needed to be adjusted. Unfortunately, this was not to be, as the helicopter crushed at Sindar area carbon location, 3rd Division in Elgeyo Marakwet County, claiming the lives of General Ogolla, Brigadier Swale Saidi, Colonel Duncan Keitany, Lieutenant Colonel David Sawe, Major George Benson Magondu, Captain Sora Mohammed, Captain Hilary Litali, Senior Sergeant John Kenywa Mureithi, Sergeant Cliffons Omondi, and Sergeant Rose Nyawera. Indeed, it was a sad and tragic moment for us as a nation and for the KDF fraternity in particular. In hospital as we speak, our Lieutenant Colonel Kasaine Ole Koruta and Corporal Frankfurt Karanja, who I ask all of us to pray for them, for their recovery. They are in fair condition, and we wish them well. Over the course of my life in the public service, I have had the privilege to meet, interact, and work with many outstanding men and women whose achievements and visions represent the best of what Kenya has to offer. General Ogolla was in a very special class. Yesterday, as I thought of this function and what I was going to say, the truth came to my mind to speak truthfully about the man that lies in the casket in front of us. Because General Ogolla represents for this farewell service, for the first ever in the history of Kenya of a serving Chief of Defense Forces in office who has passed on. And we are here to say bye-bye to a consummate military officer, a passionate, accomplished military commander, and a patriotic citizen of Kenya with great humility. Lessons on humility characterize the life of General Ogolla. Even in his death, he is giving us lessons, lectures on humility. This very function is the epitome of humility. And when it came time for me as Commander-in-Chief to make a decision on the next CDF, it wasn't an easy decision as it should. It's always a decision of many balances. But let me say this about General Ogolla. All the recommendations that I got on the next CDF. And all the advice that I got about the next CDF did not include the name of General Ogolla, unfortunately. But he was a military officer with a distinguished career. There was only one problem: the events of the 15th of August at the Bomas of Kenya. And so, I asked General Ogolla for a meeting. And I had a one-on-one, man-to-man, come to Jesus meeting with General Ogolla. And when we concluded that meeting, General Ogolla told me the following: Mr. President, I have no defense. I will not try to defend myself. It was wrong what happened. And you have three choices. Either send me to court-martial or have me retire or forgive me. That evening, I went home after that meeting, and I reflected on what General Ogolla had told me. And in that reflection, I thought of my own story and my own episode at the ICC in The Hague, where circumstances had conspired, and I was there. Secondly, I also reflected on the brief that I had been given when I came into office as president. And I had been told there are 4 sensitive positions: that of the IG of the police, that of Interior, that of the Director General of NIS, and that of the CDF. And I had been told, you need to be careful who you appoint into these offices, because they mean a lot and they are very sensitive. And I had even been told that, please, don't be shy to appoint members of your community. You will be safe. I had made a conscious, deliberate decision that we were going to take a different trajectory as a country, where merit, professionalism, and competence must come before ethnicity. And I made up my mind that General Ogolla deserved to be the Chief of Defense Forces of the Republic of Kenya. It is an appointment that I am very, very proud that I made. I am proud to bear the witness that General Francis Ogolla stood head and shoulders among the finest of exemplary public servants. It has been an extraordinary privilege to work closely with him to benefit from his wisdom, experience, and insights, and to witness him in action, serving his nation with admirable commitment and providing excellent command leadership of the Kenya Defense Forces. As is tradition, every day, without a doubt, whether I am in country or out of the country, it is necessary, it is the case that I have to get a report from CDF. And so it happened. Every day, either we talked physically, by phone, by WhatsApp, and I can confirm that General Ogolla was the best that we could get. I am also aware that off-duty, General Ogolla was involved in various services for the benefit of community, including youth motivation and guidance, and his extensive work as a Christian. Last year, on December 9th, 2023, General Ogolla gifted me a framed photograph. On one side was a Bible verse from the book of Isaiah, chapter 41, verses 10, presented in beautiful calligraphy that read, and I quote, "Fear thou not, for I am with thee. Be not dismayed, for I am thy God. I will strengthen thee, I will help thee, I will uphold thee with the right hand of my righteousness," end of quote. On the other side of the photo was a map of Kenya with multiple silhouettes of soldiers in diverse military roles. It was a thoughtful gift that embodied General Ogolla's personality as a patriot, a gallant general, a Christian, and a visionary leader. He understood the value of defense for national tranquility and the obligation of the office of the Chief of Defense towards national prosperity. When I asked him that schools, 5 schools needed to be renovated, he didn't ask me for money. He went to his budget and asked his officers to organize the budget so that he could respond to the needs of children who were out of school. General Ogolla was always clear-minded on the strategies the military could execute and how to grow the Kenya Defense Forces. He greatly contributed to modernizing the Kenya Defense Forces with exceptional insights and perspectives on matters strategy. He was very passionate about the welfare of soldiers. And I can confirm that on many occasions, he asked for my permission to visit forward operating bases in many parts of Kenya and outside Kenya. In fact, I can confirm that General Francis Ogolla was one of the most traveled generals visiting soldiers in various operation areas. I, however, have one regret, that I will not be there he will not be there for me to see the transformation he had planned for our military. He had an elaborate, very well laid out plan on the transformation of the military. And he had briefed me that beginning next month, at the pass out parade, I would see, and the country would see, something different. I regret that he won't be there to see his plan come to fruition. I am, however, confident that the men and women he leaves behind, the commanders that he has trained, mentored, and assisted, will gather the courage and wherewithal to drive the plan General Ogolla had put in place. It is most unfortunate that the crash has robbed this nation of fine and dedicated patriotism whose ability, professionalism, and dedication was self-evident. His passing away, and that of other gallant military personnel, has saddened me deeply, and the nation so much more. As we gather here, I want to urge all of us to learn the lessons, the many lessons that General Ogolla leaves behind. I want to assure Mama Eileen and your children and family that the government of Kenya and myself personally will be there to make sure that General not only gets a decent send-off, but also his family will be looked after by the people of Kenya in honor of the great service General Ogolla gave to this country. Finally, when General came to brief me about where he was going to go, and eventually he told me this Sunday in Siaya at the Anglican Church that they had built as a family, the Bishop of ACK, the Archbishop, would be there to consecrate the church. It now looks like the consecration of the church will be there, but the ceremony will be about the sending of our brother, General Francis Ogolla. When I met the family, and I asked the family, and the family told me about what General Ogolla had wished, including being buried within 72 hours and many of the other things. I asked Mama and Joel, what was the nature of the conversation that led to General talking about his own death, surely? It marks the courage of a man who was ready. And he knew, even in the sermon he preached to us today, that life was mortal. For those of us who are scared of death, maybe General Ogolla again is giving us some lessons on how to be ready. Very profoundly, yesterday, many heads of state called to condole with the country. And one profound statement came from the president of Burundi. And he told me in Kiswahili, Mheshimiwa Rais, sisi wote tuko katika mstari. General inaonekana alikuwa mbele yetu. Na sisi tujipange. It was very profound coming from a head of state. And as we do that, we still must do the utmost to make sure that we protect our men and women in service. And part of what General had planned is the modernization of equipment that is being used by our military. It is unfortunate that he passed on before we could accomplish the plan that we had. I want to commit to our military officers, men and women in uniform, like the way we are doing with the police. We now have a clear plan on how to modernize the equipment that is being used by our military so that they can be safer and they can discharge their responsibility of securing our country better. Again, from Mama Rachel and my children, our very deep and sincere condolences to the family of General Ogolla, and on behalf of the people of Kenya, to say, poleni sana na Mungu awafariji. Thank you very much.
Asante sana Mheshimiwa Rais kwa kipindi hicho cha hotuba. Kipindi ambacho Mheshimiwa Rais kitaweza kufuata ni kipindi cha heshima za mwisho kwa Generali Francis Ogolla. Kwa heshima na taadhima kuu niweze kumwalika Mheshimiwa Rais akiwa ameandamana na mama wa taifa Her Excellency Bi Rachel Ruto pamoja na Defense Council ambayo itahusisha waziri wetu wa ulinzi Mheshimiwa Aden Bare Duale, naibu mkuu wa majeshi ya ulinzi ya Kenya Luteni Generali Charles Kahariri, katibu wizara ya ulinzi Mheshimiwa Patrick Mariru, komanda wa jeshi letu la nchi kavu Luteni Generali David Tarus, kamanda wa jeshi letu la wanaanga Meja Generali John Omenda, na kamanda wa jeshi letu la wanamaji Meja Generali Thomas Ng'ang'a. Kwa ruhusa yako Mheshimiwa Rais, niombe kwa heshima na taadhima wafuatao waweze pia kujiunga nawe. Naibu wa Rais Mheshimiwa Rigathi Gachagua pamoja na Pastor Dorcas Gachagua, mkuu wa mawaziri Mheshimiwa Musalia Mudavadi, na aliyekuwa waziri mkuu wa taifa la Kenya Mheshimiwa Raila Odinga. Your Excellency, sir. Niombe Mheshimiwa Rais anapoja kupeana heshima zake za mwisho, kwaya tafadhali, kwaya mtupe wimbo It's Well. Uweze kumsindikiza Mheshimiwa Rais pamoja na wale ambao wataweza kupeana heshima zao siku ya leo. Ni dhahiri shahiri kwamba unatupenda kama familia ya kijeshi. Umetutia nguvu, umetupa nguvu siku hii ya leo tunapozidi kuomboleza maisha ya jenerali. Basi kwaya, tuendelee kupata huo wimbo hadi wageni wetu mashuhuri watakapochukua nafasi zao kwenye jukwaa rasmi. Asante kwaya tafadhali, asante kwaya. Nitampisha mwenzangu Meja Justin Pamba aweze kuendelea, na niombe kwa heshima tuweze kusimama kwa ajili ya kipindi hiki.
Your Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, the next sequence of events is as follows. We are going to usher in the missing wingman formation, which is an aerial salute that is performed as a flypast of an aircraft at a funeral or a memorable event, typically in memory of either a fallen pilot, a well-known military service member or veteran, or a well-known politician. The planes fly in formation with a space where one should be and symbolizes the absence of the person.
Basi Mheshimiwa Rais, unavyotazama ndege hizi 4 zimeweza kupita hivi sasa kwenye anga, ndege moja ikaweza kupotea. Hii ni heshima ambayo hupeanwa na kuashiria kwamba ndege ile ni yule rubani ambaye aliweza kuaga akiwa kazini, jinsi mnavyoshuhudia kwamba General Francis Ogolla aliweza kuwa tactical fighter pilot.
Your Excellency, the jet fighters have flown out in a wing and with the second aircraft to the left, peeling off to symbolize the great loss of a great fighter pilot and a general. The formation, as you have seen, has approached from the south, and near sundown, one aircraft has suddenly split off to the west, flying into the sunset. In all cases, the aircraft performing the pull, split, or missing from the formation is honoring the person or persons who have died and represents their departure. And now, Your Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, we may remain upstanding for the 1-minute silence in honor of the late General, followed by the gun salute and the flypast that has just gone by. Your Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, the 1-minute silence starts now. Thank you, Your Excellency. And now, the gun salute.
kutoka afisi ya sherehe za kitaifa aweze kutupa itifaki ya kufumukana mahali hapa, kisha baada ya hapo tutaweza kupata wimbo wa taifa na wimbo wa Jumuiya ya Afrika Mashariki. Boni Msambi.
Basi punde baada ya wimbo wa taifa tunaomba tubaki tukiwa tumetulia vivyo hivyo. Tumpishe kwanza Mheshimiwa Rais aliye pia Amiri Jeshi Mkuu wa majeshi yote ya ulinzi pamoja na mama wa taifa waweze kuondoka, wakifuatwa na Naibu Rais pamoja na Pastor Dorcas Rigathi, kisha Spika wa Bunge la Seneti, vile vile Jaji Mkuu, Waziri wa Ulinzi atafuata, aliyekuwa Waziri Mkuu nyuma yake, na mwisho kabisa familia ya mwenda zake itaondoka ikiongozwa na Mama Aileen Kadhambi. Hiyo ndio itifaki ya mwanzo ya kuondoka. Wengine tutasalia kutulia ili kwanza mwili uondolewe na kisha tutafuata. Shukran.
Asante sana Mheshimiwa Rais, kwa heshima na taadhima kuu niombe sasa tuweze kusimama kwa wimbo wa taifa na wimbo wa Jumuiya ya Afrika Mashariki. Basi niombe wengine tuweze kutulia, tuweze kuketi hadi mwili pamoja na familia wakapoondoka hapa uwanjani.
Tumekuwa wenye subra tangu tuanze shughuli nzima, kwa hivyo tunawauliza kwa heshima tukaweze kuendelea kuwa na subra hiyo ili mipangilio ya sherehe hii ikaweze kwenda jinsi tulivyopangilia. Kwa hivyo sasa mwili unasindikizwa kwa utaratibu, na hivyo kama vile tulivyokuwa tumekwishaeleza pale awali, familia inapita hapa mbele mwa jukwaa katika mwendo wa polepole kuashiria hali ilivyo, lakini ukweli ni kwamba tunajua Jenerali Ogolla tulimpenda sana, lakini Mwenyezi Mungu alimpenda zaidi. Na kwa hivyo tunapoendelea katika shughuli nzima, tuendelee kuwa na subra hiyo tunapoendelea kusimama na familia hii katika shughuli hii nzima ya kumsindikiza Jenerali Ogolla.
Shukrani za dhati pia kwa wageni ambao waliweza kujiunga nasi katika misa ibada hii. Majenerali wastaafu na hali kadhalika wenzetu kutoka idara ya ulinzi, kwa kuweza kujumuika nasi katika misa ibada. Asante sana viongozi wetu wa kidini kwa kuweza kuendesha kipindi hicho cha misa vyema kabisa.
Basi viongozi wetu wa kidini wanapoelekea katika sehemu hiyo mbele mwa jukwaa, kumbuka kwamba mwili wa Jenerali Ogolla unawekwa kwa hivi sasa kwenye gari rasmi. Kwa hivyo hivi ni kusema ya kwamba tuendelee kuwa na subra hiyo ili shughuli nzima ikaweze kuisha jinsi tulivyopanga. Nachukua fursa hii pia kuweza kuwashukuru kila mmoja wetu aliyejibidisha kuhakikisha ya kwamba shughuli hii inakuwa ni yenye kufanikiwa. Manake kuna wale ambao waliamka asubuhi na mapema kuhakikisha kwamba mahali hapa ni pasafi, kuna wale ambao walihakikisha mitambo inafanya kazi, kuna wale ambao walihakikisha usalama uko sawa, na wote wameweza kuvuta kwa pamoja ili shughuli hii iweze kuwa ni yenye mafanikio. Kwa hivyo tunawashukuru sana, na tuendelee kuwa na subra hiyo hadi mwili wa Jenerali Ogolla utakapoondolewa kwenye uga huu.
Basi kwa niaba ya wenzangu tulioweza kuendesha nao shughuli ya siku ya leo, mwenzangu Boni Musambi, Major Justin Pamba, jina langu ni Sergeant Misango Mbae, nikiwarejesha kwenye studio zetu. Kwaya ambapo mko tayari muendelee kutupa burudani tunaposubiri mwili wa jenerali kuondoka mahali hapa. Kwaya tafadhali.
Basi kwaya pia nachukua fursa hii kuambia mumeimba vizuri sana, sauti zenu nyororo, asante sana.
Na mashirima basi.
Those are live images coming from the Ulinzi Sports Complex in Nairobi after the final honors and the ceremony at the Ulinzi Sports Complex that has just concluded with a 19-gun salute accorded to the late General Francis Ogolla, who died in that helicopter crash in Kabene area in West Pokot County. And what you're seeing on your screens is the body being loaded on that military vehicle as it leaves the premises back to the military mortuary here in Nairobi. It is an event that has seen different leaders comment about who Ogolla was. The president highlighting how there is need to modernize the equipment the military is using, how it was a hard decision when it came to the appointment of General Ogolla, the president opening up on his engagement with the late General. A lot has been said, with the former Prime Minister Raila Odinga calling on investigations to be conducted on the same so that we can unearth and get to the truth, according to him, on what caused the accident. This is an accident that claimed the lives of 10 military personnel, including the general himself. And with that, condolence messages continue to stream in, even as leaders still continue on that. But now, this is the message from Major retired Philip Moi, who served together with Ogolla. And he says, and I quote, "We received the sad and shocking news about the tragic and horror crash that claimed the lives of gallant members of Kenya Defence Forces, including the CGS, General Francis Ogolla, with the family of Kenya's second president, late Mzee Daniel Toroitich Arap Moi, joined the nation and the KDF fraternity in mourning the loss of General Ogolla and his officers." This, as continues to say, "At this time of sorrow, we pray to the Almighty God to grant solace to the grieving families, as well as peaceful rest of the souls of the departed patriots. We pay tribute to General Ogolla, who brought into his office exemplary level of patriotism and professionalism, as well as personal discipline, integrity, and honor." The statement goes further to say that Kenyans will always celebrate and cherish memories of his service and hands-on approach to all matters touching on the security of Kenyans and the sanctity of their lives and their motherland. That is the statement of Major retired Philip Moi, who served with the late Chief of Defence Forces, Philip Omondi Ogolla. This as more condolence messages continue to pour in. Raila Odinga giving his condolence messages. President William Ruto, Commander-in-Chief, equally just telling Kenyans who Ogolla was, what he meant to his administration, and also just a lot being said there by different leaders. Prime Cabinet Secretary, Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, Eden Duale, who is the Cabinet Secretary for Defense. A lot happening today, as we've seen the last respects and the honors that have been given to the late CDF. And with that, there is a clip, there is a message that was given by the late CDF. If we can just play that, the clip by the CDF on what really life means. Take a listen.
In my military life, I have come to learn the reality of human mortality. I have appreciated that life is finite, humans are mortal, and life is short. One morning, you are with a healthy colleague. The next minute, he's ashes and gone forever. Now you see him, now you don't. Seeing colleagues die in war, in accidents, or in sicknesses, the reality of human mortality lives with us each day. The remembrance parades, the funeral rites, imprints in us the eventual end of life and service.
That is the message of the CDF, and I'll just say, humans are mortal. Life is short. Now you see him, and now you don't. Life is finite, and with all the celebrations and final respects, it brings forth the eventuality of life. My name is Dennis Aseto. I have been bringing you the coverage of the last respects of the CDF and other soldiers who lost their lives today. This program has brought forth who the CDF meant to not only the family, not only to the leadership, but to Kenyans who have shown up back in Siaya County. Earlier, we heard of the people there, the family saying who he really was, how he engaged with everyone despite of his presence and disposition in leadership. Francis Ogolla Omondi goes as a hero to Kenyans and the Republic. My name is Dennis Aseto. Enjoy the rest of your viewing.